All right. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Theory and Theology. Maybe I should be welcoming myself back because I have not been necessarily recording, but I've been doing a lot of studying. I just don't have it organized in a way that I can really talk about it in any kind of an order that makes any sense. So I don't even know if I'm really gonna try, but I've kind of been studying like music and kind of like ritual music and like spirituality. Like I don't really know. Like I really can't organize it in a way that's gonna make any sense. So if I'm gonna talk about it, it's gonna be completely unorganized. But mostly, okay. So I was trying to see if there's religions that don't really have music, and I don't know really any. I mean, there might be some like obscure religion or some obscure belief system that says no music of any kind. Like I know of religions and denominations that kind of denounce or forbid maybe certain styles of music, but I find it interesting that there's music in every religion for the most part. Like there might be religions that don't have it, but I don't think any of them are like well known around the world. If they do exist, I don't really know. And there seems to be there's gonna be a lot of honking. There are Christmas lights this time of year in this neighborhood, and traffic starts backing up from like about 6 p.m. or so until about 10 p.m. So there's just like a long line of traffic of like maybe like a 2-hour wait through traffic, or people park in different neighborhoods. Like they park in my area and then they walk over. So there's a lot of foot traffic and just people everywhere this time of year until probably January sometime. And so I hate it, and it's annoying. And we can only really go to or from our house one direction. Otherwise you get stuck in traffic for like over an hour trying to get to the house if you go the wrong way at the wrong time of night, almost any day of the week. So it's very obnoxious. I don't know. I've become a complete Scrooge about Christmas. I'm like, I don't like it. It's very inconvenient for my life. There's too much happening that's just like, I prefer to be just completely disconnected from it and just check out and not involve myself. But it's very disruptive. It's like the gym where I like to go and then the other gym that I like to go, they're both in shopping centers and one's across the street from the mall. So it's like the parking sucks. There's too many people everywhere. It's annoying. Like every time you want to go do an errand or go to the post office or something, it's like, oh my gosh, like you have to go like way outside of your way, outside of peak hours, or go right when things are opening. Otherwise it's just like, oh my gosh, like, I was just dropping into, some place to return a shirt or something, and you end up standing in line for like 45 minutes or something. It's like, it's just so ridiculous. But that's the holiday spirit. Anyways, I don't know. Pretty much most of December, I'm gonna be, when I post, it's gonna be just like, there's gonna be some ranting about the holidays. I just don't like them. I don't know. None of this has any real significance in my daily life. I mean, I'm all for Jesus and Jesus being born. I'm not against any babies being born, you know. I mean, we all know that December 25th wasn't necessarily like an accurate birth date, but it's like, okay, if you want to celebrate it, cool. But I don't really think it has to go like so. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's just too far gone to a point where it's just really hard to really focus on anything. I know people, you know, I don't know, holidays are supposed to be like a joyous, like festive kind of time of year. Like, I don't know. And maybe it's because I was always like in like one of the busiest cities traffic wise, even without holidays in the way. I was raised in a city that was like heavy traffic, and so whenever the holidays hit, it was like more traffic and less parking and more people, and it's like there's already too much going on, so it just like amplifies just my frustration with things about the city that are already deal breakers for me. And it just so happens that this season I'm in the city the whole time, in the busy city. So it's like, it just, I'm not very pleased. I'm not pleased with all of this so far, but it's like, I understand some people enjoy it, so I don't really want to like knock it for people who enjoy it, or like tell people they shouldn't have fun. But I don't tend to have fun. I don't know. I'm not into like random gift giving either. I don't know, I just find it wasteful. It's just my own opinion. Like, I'm kind of cheap when it comes to spending money. Like, I'm not cheap on spending on myself. Like, when I want something that's like definitely like concerts, snowboarding, that kind of stuff, I will pay for it. Like, I don't really care. But, or if I want to go somewhere, if I want to visit a friend in Vegas, or like, you know, go hang out somewhere with somebody, you know, I'll go pay to go do it. But when it comes to like, okay, let me go physically shopping in person into some shop with somebody that I either do or don't talk to on a regular basis, that has their own money and buys their own things for themselves on a regular basis, and then I'm gonna go into a store and buy something for somebody else, unless somebody has told me directly that they want something, it's kind of like, okay, now I'm guessing and I have to buy something. And yeah, you can give the gift receipt and all. It's just like a whole thing. Like, I don't know. For me, it's just kind of like, if I want to buy you something, I'm going to buy you something. If I want to get you something, I'm going to get you something. Something thoughtful, maybe like an inside joke, maybe something that I know that you would like to kind of have, you know, with you, or something that's like important to your life, or just like a little thing, you know. Like, for example, I have a friend in San Diego who just got a new office, and I'm like, okay, like, you know, I wouldn't mind giving them a gift like for their office, you know, like something that, you know, we joke about, you know, we have like all these jokes about like therapist memes and all this kind of stuff. Like, you know, that would make sense to me. It's like, here's a gift for your office, something you can actually put there and have there, and when your clients come in, they'll see it, and you can decorate your office with this thing, you know, have it be one of your first decorations or something, versus like, let me go guess some random thing for some person that I have no clue anything that they could use or that they would want, and just spend money not just on one person but on like 5 or 6 different people at the least, if not more. It's just, and then the work parties and stuff, oh my god, like I don't even want to go into it, but it's like the white elephant things, like, yeah, it's fun, but it's like, I don't know, like most of the stuff you get isn't really stuff that you're gonna need or use. Like, I think from gifts, random gifts, I think at a baby shower I went to way back, I got a pocket knife. It was probably from the dollar store or Walmart, not even Walmart. It was probably just dollar store quality, because the plastic parts kind of broke off and it's like neon green. But that's probably the most useful thing I ever got as a random gift that was from one of those weird types of party gifts. And I actually do keep it on my dresser, and I use it when I need to, for, just opening things or a little screwdriver or whatever. But, and, like if I'm ever in a place where I'm like, oh, like I know I'm going somewhere that's not maybe too safe, I mean, I'll say, I've carried a pocket knife on me before. Like, I'm not really gonna stab people or whatever, but it's like, I'd rather have something. Some of the places where I've gone, I'd rather have something on me than not. Just because it's like, I know I'm walking back to my car by myself in the dark in downtown LA at like 2 a.m. It's like, I'm not just gonna be just like waltzing around, like that, so I like to at least have some kind of safety precautions, but I'm also not really trying to like use it. But that's kind of, I don't know, those kind of gifts are like, I don't know, like it's something that I've found useful, but it was random. It was some like grab bag kind of gift, or I don't know, from a game. I don't even remember what it was from. But anyways, none of that has anything to do with any of this. But yeah, when it comes to religions and belief systems, but mostly religions, I find it interesting that there's music incorporated. I don't really know where the origins of that comes from, but there's a lot of music, a lot of just singing, or some religions even do dancing. Like the way the denomination I was raised in did not do dancing. They were not okay with dancing. I was always fine with it. Like, I never really cared to think of it as like a evil thing. Like, I never thought it was like bad, but there are some really conservative groups that don't believe in dancing. I think there's nothing wrong with dancing. I know that the religion is always like, sexual dancing is maybe not good, and it's like, well, who cares? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, if people want to be like grinding on each other, like, what is that any business of mine? Like, I mean, yeah, there's an appropriate or inappropriate place for everything, right? So like, if you're in the middle of a church service and there's music, and it's like, say if it's like got a good beat to it, and you're like grinding with your friend in the middle of the service, like that would be maybe not the best place to be doing that. But pretty much anywhere outside of like religion, like outside of a religious service or some type of like funeral or wedding, where there might be music of some form, I could pretty much see that, any type of dancing to me seems okay. Um, like people who like, metal or like kind of like hardcore dancing and stuff, like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, there's all kinds of dancing, like those windmills and like people like swinging their arms and kicking all over the place and stuff. Like that might be a little out of place at certain spaces, but it's like at the end of the day, like who really cares? Like, like dancing is a form of expression. It's not evil. I mean? Like, it's not like promoting like killing, or it's not promoting like any form of negativity, in all honesty. Like there's nothing inherently like promoting evil through dancing. And even if it is, it's kind of like, I don't know if people would really pick up on it, but yeah, like I don't really think, I mean, I can't really see, I could just see like, yeah, there's some inappropriate spaces for like dancing certain ways, but I mean, it's not even necessarily like wrong. Like I don't think there's any like moral issue with it. Like I don't know, like traditionally people teach reasons why to stay away from stuff, and I think people just worry about all kinds of things that just, I don't understand it. It's like, I know like in the church that I was raised in, there was a big issue with things that would lead to other things. So it was kind of like, with dancing, you can't dance because it's like you might get out of control. This is the belief. It's like you might dance so much or get so caught up in the music that your mind is no longer on God, and you're now thinking about this music, and like your head is like in the music, and you're not, your mind was off God for that time, especially if it's not religious music. And then your body was moving in a certain way, and you might be kind of taken out of, I don't know what, I don't really even understand it, honestly. Like usually they focused more on like the sexuality aspects of it and people getting turned on by certain stuff, and it's like, dude, like people get turned on by things, like there's nothing abnormal about that. I think it's maybe more abnormal to be like not I mean, anything can lead to addiction, right? So I think the main concern is that people will get so used to doing things that are pleasurable things, so anything that has any aspect of like joy attached to it or pleasure attached to it is seen as like a threat or danger, because you could go and start doing this more and having more fun doing this, and then kind of lose your way and get too involved in it, to a point where it's considered maybe not good for you. But I do think that happens with religion too. I think people can get so involved in religion to a point that it's not good too. It's like people can get so involved in it to a point that they don't really understand what's going on in society, and don't really understand like human kind of the needs of in their local communities, because they're so like attached to like their religion and just focused only on that. It's like they don't ever look up from it and see kind of, okay, what are the needs in the community, who actually needs help, like what can I actually do. And like it's good to study and learn, but it's like, a lot of the stuff, the good messages need to be put into action so that people actually get the help that they need, instead of focusing on things that really don't matter, like who is listening to what beat and measures of beats of music, and who's dancing to it in what manner. It's like none of this has any, it's not really going to do anything, to help your community to be caring about that kind of stuff. like at least to focus on it so much, you know. I think people need to let loose every now and then. You know, I think it's good, but I think there's two extremes. Like, I think going to one extreme of just like always letting loose and just doing whatever the heck you want without any form of discipline or structure or routine whatsoever is maybe not the best lifestyle. But then going too far and being too rigid and ultra disciplined to a point where you don't allow yourself to be a human being, and you're just kind of like, okay, like I'm gonna like suppress every single thing about anything that I think or want to do forever, that I think that's dangerous too, because then it's like you get a little sip of something and you'll just go wild. It's like, you know, you kind of need a little bit of, you know, like, I don't know, like it's hard to explain, but it's like, I don't think that the human mind and body is really meant to be like fully suppressed, but I do think people can take things too far on either end. But when it comes to like dancing and music and things like that, you know, a lot of religions do incorporate a lot of dance, a lot of movement. Maybe it's not called dance, but maybe a form of movement, and a form of like melodic or like chanting or beats, like just like beats of like drumming beats, or certain specifically chosen types of instruments, that, you know, I don't know, there's like, for people who study like audiology, who study music, and the brain and neurology attached to all that, and just kind of like emotional mental health in general as it relates to music. I mean, music can be, I wouldn't call it like a cure, but it's like an easy way to shift your mood. So for example, like I was remembering not too long ago that I'd gone to this San Diego Loyal soccer game. They're the local men's soccer team, professional but not MLS, and I think Landon Donovan is he was on the Galaxy, and then, you know, before that he was during and before that he was on the LA the US national team, and he basically, well, I don't know, not about him, but so, you know, when I was at the game, it was like a pride night or something like that, and me and my friends went, and we were on one goal side, and like behind the goal kind of, and that was the section where the drummers were sitting. I don't know what the SD Loyal drummers are called, but it was at USD Stadium there, and we were just sitting there, and part of me thought, you know, okay, we're close to the drums, this is gonna get loud and annoying. But for me, I know like drumming kind of, when it's like consistent, you know, I wouldn't say it puts me in a trance, but it kind of puts me it really does help me focus. It puts me in like a focused state. So when I'm like, say for example, for like meditation, or just like if I'm just wanting to like reflect on things, if I put on like forms of like shamanic like drumming, or different forms of drumming, like usually with the bass drum, you know, I notice, you know, if it's after like I don't know how long, but after a long time of it, like I really kind of get like relaxed by it, and then like um, kind of like, I don't know, it relaxes me to some extent, and then, it just, like, whatever I'm focusing on, I can just focus on it. Like, it kind of takes me out of, whatever my mind was gonna do. It's like enough of a distraction, from, a racing brain. It kind of just helps me focus on, you know, what I'm intentionally trying to focus on. Um, and I noticed, I was just like chill at that game and like watching the game. Like, it was after work, and I remember being pretty stressed out because I was like, man, this game's at like 7 p.m. and I was like tired and I wanted to go to sleep, but we had tickets, and I was like, I kind of want to go to bed, but I couldn't really sleep yet. And then, um, because I had to go to this game, and I was like, I don't want to be all groggy, and, so I went to the game and everything, and yeah, I was like totally just like at peace. There was like a lot of chanting in Spanish, and mostly in Spanish, I think. And then, the drumming, um, I didn't find it annoying at all. Like, I thought it was going to be annoying. I was like, oh, we're like right next to these people. But I liked it. I actually really liked it. And I was just chill. Like, I was just sitting there watching the game and just like focused on the game and just like in my element, and I loved it. And it wasn't like religion, but it was a very nice calming experience. Like, usually when I'm in places where it's like a full stadium and there's people yelling, and it's like, when I watch sports, I do get a little amped up sometimes. I want to win and everything, but it's like, I'm not like that. I'm usually not that like upset by things, if I lose, but a little bit. Like, sometimes, depending on the game, like sometimes I'm a little emotionally invested and I'll remember it for a while, but I mean, not to the extent that I'm like too bothered by it. Like, I'm not like mad at anybody. Like, I've known people who get like mad at people when their team loses, like when there's other people around them. Like, I've been in households where we used to throw like little like kind of pizza parties, watch a game kind of thing. And I had friends that would like fight each other over like soccer games and stuff like that. Like, they would really literally be almost like damaging their friendship with one person's team winning versus the other one losing, and it's just like they're like rivals, like, so hard. um but I don't know, like, I don't like take it out on other people. Like, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that my team lost. These teams don't even know that any of us exist. So, yeah, like, I don't know, like, the drumming I found really calming. And, you know, like, I find it in certain services, church services, maybe. I'm probably more familiar with church than anything else, but like Christian church. But one thing that I always noticed was, like, when songs are kind of set up kind of like verse, chorus, verse, like intro, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, or whatever you want to do, like something along those lines. Like, I feel like it can be kind of like short, but there are services that I've encountered. There's one that's like 24 hours. They have this room modeled after David. You had like in the temple, like a room where there was constantly music playing day and night. And so that room at their campus, they basically have rotating bands come in, and there's always a band playing, and you can tune in live. And their songs are long because it's like, well, I mean, they're gonna be there all day, so it's like, I think they come in every hour, every other hour or something, but it's like they come in like every day. So it's like, for like a day, like they're not, like each band isn't playing for like 24 hours, but it's like there's a band playing for quite a length of time. So it's like they're not pressed for time. They're not like, oh shoot, we gotta have the offering call after this and then do a prayer and then like there's a sermon. No, like they're not worried about all that. They're just like, we are here to sing forever. And so they literally just sing, and it's like, you can tell they practice. It's very well done, but they just sing. Like their songs are so drawn out. Like I've literally gone and like kept it on. Like I've had it playing like in my room on my cell phone, gone to another room, maybe like go brush my teeth and go like get ready for the evening, like take out some laundry, throw it in the dryer or whatever, and then come back and it's still going. It's like this song is like the longest song ever. Like, and all the songs are really lengthy like that, but I actually like that. That's kind of what I prefer, is when it's not like rushed. It's like when I listen to that kind of stuff, if that's what I choose to listen to, I'm like, I just want to vibe on this. Like, and there's other types of religious music that's not Christian that I do enjoy, just like hearing, and I like kind of long, drawn out like songs. I like, even if it's not Christian scripture, I like scriptures that are very melodic when people recite them or read them. I like how some religious scripture has like a melody along to it, and I find it very interesting. I Is it in Islam? I don't know if it's called nasheed. I don't know. I could be so wrong. I'm not good with the terminology anymore. But they have certain types of melodic reading of the Quran, and all kinds of different, like if you look up, like they have kids that like recite, and it's very well done. The melodies and like their voices and just the singing is just very well done. Like they're very talented. I feel like it's like a classical style of singing, even though I don't know what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of like a classical cultural type of singing. I just don't know what it's called. There's like different types of note runs and things. I don't know what they call it, like, but it's just very, like, there's nothing like that like in like Western American religions that you see. I feel like a lot of the religions that kind of came out of the US, out of American culture, tend to be kind of like rigid. A lot of them are from like the 1800s, 16, 7, like, way back. Like, a lot of them were like old, and but like, I don't know how to, there's no like delicate way to say this. Old Caucasian people religions, usually they were the ones founding these religions, and yeah, so that's a kind of interesting aspect. But yeah, I'm still studying this stuff. I don't really know what to say about it otherwise, in more detail. I mean, I have plenty of details I could say, but I'm not sure how accurate I am, and I don't really want to have to backtrack and like delete a whole episode because I'm not going to edit it, honestly. So I don't want to delete a whole episode just because I put in a whole bunch of inaccurate information. And I'm probably not going to go out of my way anytime soon to really like memorize the details of what I'm learning so I can actually talk about it. It's just kind of stuff that I'm more into experiencing it than reading about it. So, you know, I've been kind of on a break doing that and just enjoying a lot of musical things, not necessarily religious, but musical things. Kind of had to do it to take a break from the holiday stuff. I don't know, Thanksgiving kind of wore me out. I started learning a lot around Thanksgiving time about, you know, other types of ways that people in this country are celebrating that time of year. And, you know, a lot of indigenous groups of people are very, you know, kind of reclaiming, you know, that, and talking kind of about how they are, you know, it's more like a commemoration. That's not the right, maybe like a memorial. I don't know what the proper term would be, but it's more like a day of mourning. It's not really like let's all go eat a big fancy feast kind of meal and celebrate together. It's more of like, you know, there was genocide of the people, and remembrance of those people who were lost, or just cultural and traditions and history that's important. And I was kind of like I find it to be pretty heavy stuff. It's pretty heavy stuff to be like, okay, like, yeah, like, you know, like, I can't like compare my, you know, cultural experience to anybody else's, but, you know, I'm aware to some extent of what it's like to be a part of cultures that are kind of just like erased. Like, people don't even know what you're saying when you like mention, you know, where your people are from or whatever. Like, you might as well be saying that you're from Mars. It's like they know Mars probably better than they know, you know, some other culture or place. And, you know, just to have like a whole part of a person's identity just not be recognized, you know, it's like, I mean, it's just it's not, it's, I don't know, it's just kind of one of the most interesting things, you know. I you know, it was very eye-opening to me in grad school. I think it was in grad school was the first time I ever had a professor who just straight up knew how to say my last name. Like, that's never happened. Like, all the school I've been to ever in my life, you know, all the substitute teachers, all the random teachers, I never once had a teacher who just kind of knew. And, you know, I was like, oh, like, this person knows, you know, something, you know, about this. And I was like, okay, like, you know, like, this person knows, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like weird, like, because I'm so used to people not knowing like a thing, like, at all, you know, which is fine. Like, I mean, our school systems don't teach about other cultures either, but it's like, you know, I can't imagine if the majority of my people were from here and having that experience where like nobody knows in mainstream society, nobody knows a thing about your culture. No one can tell you a piece of history that makes any sense, and you were there first. It's kind of like, wait a minute, you know, like, there's just a lot of like things that just kind of they just don't settle well with me. And it's definitely stuff that I've been, just like everybody else, I'm just like, just push that to the back of your mind. You don't want to focus on that stuff, like just push it to the back of your mind. Like, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Like, don't challenge anything about that. Just keep going forward, and we're gonna do the same thing that we've been doing, all these years. Like, don't break the tradition of these things, even if you don't really resonate with it. It doesn't resonate with you if you're not really like vibing with it. Never have. Just don't rock the boat. Like, I remember the first Christmas when I started making gifts for people in my family instead of buying them. I took that more from like a Kwanzaa tradition. And I remember the first Christmas a few years after that when I started what was it? I started doing like Hanukkah traditional things instead of Christian things. And I remember getting this Hanukkah wrapping paper from like the Barnes and Noble where I used to go. They used to have like wrapping paper during December, for people to buy their gifts and then wrap them, for free. You could get the wrapping paper for free outside and wrap it yourself. Or I think there was a person there that you could pay to wrap it or tip to wrap it or something like that. But you could get it yourself too. So I would take like however much paper I was going to use and wrap the gifts, and give it to my, family. And I got some Hanukkah cards for some friends and stuff. And I remember them being like they didn't really know what to do, because they were just like, wait, like this has like Stars of David all over it, and it's like blue and gold, and it's not green and red and Christmas colors. And like, I didn't say anything. I just kind of like started giving people gifts with that type of wrapping paper, and they were just like, wait, like what's going on, and they kind of just didn't really like get it. But it was just kind of my way of just being like, what's up, like like I'm just gonna do this now. It's like what are you gonna like argue with me about like Christmas? Like, who cares? Like, it's not really like a big deal. Like, I didn't really get any pushback, just like weird looks. And that's kind of what I prefer, is just do something creative and different and just think outside the box. But I do find holidays to be just very draining for that reason. I do try to challenge myself a little bit on things, and I mean, I get that people want to do the mainstream thing. I get it. It's cool. Like, do it. Like, I'm not saying don't do it. I don't really care what people do. I'm not going to tell people what to do. Like, it's your own life. But, for me, it's just not. I've never really been cool with it. Ever since I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, I see straight through this. Like, I was never really too swept away by it. And now I'm at a point where it's like the movies annoy me, the Christmas songs annoy me. I've never really liked holiday episodes, because then it's like when you're watching a season of something, every single episode has a holiday episode. Like, every show that you watch has a holiday episode, and it's like, I don't want to watch these holidays. Like, it gets very annoying. But I do think I do find value in challenging things. Like, it's just kind of naturally where my mind goes. I'm just like, okay, like, these people are doing this, so why do they do this and we do this, and they do that and we do that? It's like, I want to know why, and definitely indigenous groups have had a very strong presence in social media, visible presence in recent years. Not that they weren't visible before, but definitely a lot of their content is going viral. Um, and the same thing was happening during when the Black Lives Matter movement was getting more traction at like earlier during the Rona, and you know, more people getting more traction, and more minority groups getting to talk more about their experiences and kind of what certain things mean to them. And I'm kind of like, I kind of can vibe with that to some extent. I'm like, well, you know, how am I going to be celebrating something that I don't really even fully do? It's like, I'm not pagan. I couldn't care less about Santa Claus. I know it's not necessarily Jesus' birthday. So what do I have to really do on December 25th? Like, why would I need to really do anything then? It's like you're weird in society maybe if you don't do it. And maybe that's the reason that's easier to do it, because people get like offended and weirded out when you don't do it. I have some friends that do like a white elephant almost every year. This is probably going to be the first year I'm going to skip it. I really want to see them a lot actually, but I've made plans to see them later in the month. But I really want to see them a lot, and I'd love to see them sooner. I'd love to see them at the party, but I kind of also don't want to take a trip out of town to go see them and spend money doing that, because it's not free. Like for me, the trip is gonna cost, before food, the trip would cost me at least, like if I count the gas too, the trip is gonna cost me like $215 before food, and that's for like 2 days minimum. $250 just for like 2 days of just to go to one party and 2 days out of town, and probably 6 hours worth of traffic, just to go to a party for like 2 or 3 hours, which is like, I'd rather just see them when I'm gonna be in town for like a week, you know what I mean, versus like spend money for like 2 days. It's just, to me it's like, that's a lot of money for this time of year, considering that I have a concert to go to at the end of the month. So it's just kind of a lot, considering that I have to go for like a week anyways. So I'd rather just wait and go for a week. Like, money wise, I'd rather wait and go for the week that I've already paid for to go, instead of spending the extra couple $100. It would probably come up to like probably $350 or something. Like, I don't know, when you buy takeout, food is pretty expensive, and I'd probably have to buy something to bring to the party too, so I don't know. But yeah, I went way off topic with the music stuff, but yeah, that's kind of like, my energy's just drained this month. Like, I'm not stressed about, like, these holidays don't like stress me out to the point that it's like doing damage to me in any way. Like, it's just kind of like, I just kind of lay low this time of year, like November, December. I kind of just do my own thing, try to get more exercise. There's less sunlight, so I try to just deal with that problem. Try to get outdoor time a little bit here and there, even though it's cold, and try to reconnect with people who are in town, because a lot of people are traveling back and forth, and so this is the time of year when I actually get to see certain people that I don't really get to see, even if it's for like dinner real quick or something. Like, this is the time of year when I get to actually see certain people. So I focus more on that than I do on the actual like gifts and holidays and feasting and all that kind of stuff, and just the stuff that I like to study. And I like to see what's kind of out there and what people, what is evolving of these days, like I'm not here to like rain on anybody's parade and be like, you shouldn't have, like, you should have shame for having fun. It's like, I love seeing people celebrate and party and have fun for whatever reason. Like, I do not care. Like, I think it's fun. Like, you know, I like to celebrate random stuff too. That's why I like going to concerts. I just see it as like a celebration of like God only knows what. Like, you're just like, I'm just here to like celebrate, and this is fun, and I'm having fun with my friends, and that's like all I really care about. Like, that's my form of celebration. I don't really like to wait until the actual day that like everybody decides we need to celebrate now. Like, I'm kind of like more of like, okay, I want to celebrate now, let's do it. Like, that's more my style of celebrating. I'm all for celebrating. I think people should celebrate all the time. I don't think it needs to wait until, like, I'm the kind of person that will put in headphones and be dancing around the house. Like, I don't really care. Like, I'm all down for a celebration out of nowhere. Like, sometimes I'm like, I'm celebrating that I don't have COVID. I'm celebrating that today was good. I woke up with energy. Like, whatever. I think it's fine to just celebrate life. But also it's kind of like certain times a year do cause a lot of problems for people. And that's something that I'm trying to really understand more, because it's not all happy for everybody, and I like to know why. I like to see kind of like the different perspectives, but also kind of like experience them firsthand too, and see like, like, how does it feel to be like totally left out, and not have family around for the holiday. Like, I think the Rona year, what was that year? I think it was 2021, 2020, the end of 2020. I think that was the first holiday season I've ever spent completely by myself for the most part. Because we couldn't really do anything. Like, I had fun. I got a hotel and just like chilled, but got away from the housemates and everything, and just got a hotel in the part of town that I liked, and just chilled in the hotel. And I was having fun by myself, but also it was like, I have some friends that were like, I never get to really celebrate because my family's like never in the country or whatever. Like, they live, like, they're from like another place, and so it's like, even though they're not like really religious either, and it's like, so their family's not going to visit them, or they're not going to spend the money to visit their family for these holidays. But it's like the holidays can be like lonely for them. None of their friends are even in town, and then it's like, unless you get like invited to some kind of holiday thing, like, you're probably not going to have a lot of friends around. And so I'd never experienced that before. Like, usually it's like, I just pick where I want to go and I go party there. Like, usually that's how I do it. Wherever I say yes to go, that's where I'm going to go. The work parties are never the day of the holiday. Nobody wants to spend a holiday with their work, so it's like, yeah, I don't even want to spend weekends with my work. So, why would I want to spend a holiday with them? So people with their holidays and everything. But, I think it's fine to have like, like whatever you want to do. But I am very curious, because I'm like, okay, when people don't celebrate these days, what are they doing? If they're not like sitting around depressed, wishing that they had someone to celebrate with, what are the other people doing that aren't depressed and aren't celebrating? And I started realizing, okay, there's a lot of stuff that people are doing from other cultures that has nothing to do with any of the stuff that I ever knew people were doing on these days. And so it's very eye-opening to see, and I was reading into a lot of it and looking into a lot of it, and I'm like, it's very interesting for me to see people kind of reclaiming time periods where some groups are celebrating and reclaiming those time periods about the reality of what their people experienced that makes it so those other people can celebrate, and then this other group over here is not celebrating, they're mourning. And so it's kind of like, okay, like, I mean, I'm not saying I like that they're mourning, it's just I kind of see now, like, it kind of, I feel like my eyes were kind of open to that more so this year. Like, I paid attention to it more this year. I feel like I noticed it before, but I totally just ignored it. I was like, screw this. I'm not gonna like spend my energy into this. But I'm trying to kind of work my mind through it. Just kind of like, okay, like, I don't really know what to do with this. Like, I tend to find a lot of stuff like that where it's like there's stuff that I know something's up because I can sense that something maybe wasn't taught to us in a way that was very accurate. There's some lies in there. And then, when I start finding out more and more layers to things, some of the good layers, some of the bad layers, then I'm like, well, what do I do with the bad layers? It's like, I was studying more and more about like North Korea and China, like hiring North Koreans basically to enslave them to do, labor to make a bunch of stuff that we buy over here. In our country, we're very heavily dependent on, Chinese things, like China makes like everything, that we buy. And when I think about things like Christmas and, production of things and consumption of things and purchasing of things, who made the things that I'm purchasing? I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, I don't really think I fully support it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I want to live life and have fun. And I like my iPhone, it's like, I'm not going to stop buying Nikes. I'm not going to stop, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm also contributing to the problem. So it's kind of, this whole toss up between like what I believe about society and just like human rights and what I actually practice. Like, I'm not just gonna like overnight just like stop doing things, but I think it's fine to kind of like promote awareness, and people can do with things what they want to do. And I do things that I think I probably shouldn't do just because I like doing them. Like, sometimes I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to do this. It might be against maybe my values, but also I want to do it. So, I just live with that. And I think everybody kind of does. But I still like to dive deep into darkness. I'll put it that way. It's kind of where I'm like, I wonder what's behind door number 3. It's like they always said don't open door number 3, but here I go. So that's kind of how I like to do things. I find a lot of excitement in it. A lot of just like, I'm very interested in learning about things that, even if it's hard stuff to learn about, I'd rather know about it than like have all the truth of like history hidden. I really just hate, like, history is such a hard thing for me because I love it so much, but there's so much like manipulated information and just like hiding things, and people are all like, we did this, but we don't want anybody to know. It's like, well, you probably shouldn't have done it then, but it's like, it's already been done, and like people don't want their next generations or their family name or their race or ethnicity to have like shame about certain things. But then it's like, I think people need to learn too. And, I enjoy the learning part. I mean, it just sucks that, human nature is just so shady sometimes. It's just like, damn, like, really? Do you really need to make a buck that bad? Like, when is there enough money, when do these corporations have enough, And so that's kind of how I see the holidays. Like, when do these corporations have enough? But also, it's like, there's multiple layers to every story. But I went way off on a tangent about things that have nothing to do with music. But that's the other kind of stuff I was studying. And so that's where I've been consumed. And my time is running out on this app. So I'm going to cut this and call it a night. Thanks for listening.